Laughter is good. We were just talking yesterday. Laughter is
He's
good.
all of a
So, so y'all, we're gonna begin with laughter. It's good for the soul. Go ahead, darling. Question.
Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Alchemist and the Oracle, a space where we engage in spiritualized conversations, deep in understanding, inspire transformation, inspire meaningful dialogue about life's most profound truths. I am Nicole Love, the Oracle, and I am joined by my very giggly and she is turning red as hell co-host, Warrioress Ardeshir RN, also known as the Alchemist.
Hello, everybody. Let's take it. Ooh.
Welcome to the Alchemist and the Oracle. Today we're getting into conversation about the types of warriors changing the world today. We're revisiting that episode and we're going to go a layer deeper. So, my dear warriors Ardeshir Aren, what was something that came forward for you around the 5 types of warriors changing the world today? How do you want to approach this? Do you want to go warrior by warrior, or do you want them to like go watch it so they can get the breakdown of the 5 types?
Well, they definitely need to do that. We can
They have
revisit a
them.
little bit of them because it looks like I've tapped in to all of them. To if you considering the shirt I had on, which had to do with surviving. So oh my
Okay.
gosh, you got the shirt. Doggone it. Um, so I would have to say, hold on a second. I don't want that to go away. Um, oh, it's called Survivor Speak. Never mind. But anyway, what was a and you listed some other things other than the Warriors, which was truth versus illusion. So looking at life in general, or more so since I'm coming from the alchemy and the spiritual warrior perspective, is to understand what's the truth about you versus illusions about you, which is what the world has always portrayed about how we ought to present ourselves as human beings, much less how we have to present ourselves as a woman or a man in the world. And the only truth, the truth that you know comes from within you. And that's where you have to sit and you have to take time with yourself and sit with, is this true about me? You know, or what someone says, or the type of clothes I choose to wear, is it based upon conditioning or the illusion that I should be this way or that way versus the truth of who you are, however that may be. And it's as I mentioned about honoring children and understanding um, the dynamic of their natural ability to just be or to walk. Or somebody, oh, you can't walk that way. Literally, I mean, there's songs about if you walk that way, then you have to be anything other than the human being that you are. And then I look at soul versus ego. The ego is such a protective mechanism versus the soul is like, what is it telling me to do this or do that? So I use drive, and I was telling somebody how one of my best male friends uses, and I guess I could use that, but it's natural for him to use the gym. What's the word I want? The gym analogy, and I use driving analogies to describe where I'm coming from. It always comes, well, okay, I have listened well. If I, even if my GPS said go this way, sometime I'll divert. I would divert purposely and drive in another direction, which is my intuitive nature. And so saying, no, don't go that way, because it's something I don't have to know it, that I understand and I know it now. That is something that it may be getting me to avoid.
Right.
And that's the awareness of understanding the warrior, in which is all about, again, about awareness and understanding the different of how it's being guided you. Now, for the ego of protecting or self-defense, I still think that the soul and intuition come in, and if we listen and do what we're told to combat, especially deep fear, especially in unfortunate, scary situations, for example, if you honor the soul part of you, then you don't have to be in that state of fear and trust, the process of what's going on. Now, I'm very aware, because I'm a protector type. If there's something going on outside of here, then I'm going to go check it out, because that's exactly what I'm going to do. And then you talked about, and we didn't go deep into, like, healing versus self-sabotage. Now, I have to say that that's a lot of people that mention in When We Know how we self-sabotage and versus healing. And so once we understand and trust ourselves in that respect, then the healing begins. And that we honor ourselves not to self-sabotage. It's like coming on this platform or the discussions that we have, which is a humbling conversation in and of itself, of an understanding my ancestors, especially my mom, my grandmother, especially her, understanding what she has done to really step out and just be who the F I am, unapologetically so. So not holding myself back, which is self-sabotage in and of itself, because like I said yesterday, was to be a force to share a nature, and that what I've been through, unfortunately, just wasn't for me. Did some of it suck? Yeah. Did some of it not suck? Yeah. Because I chose to continue to walk that path, regardless to the constructs that were coming at me or towards me or for me. And to have that healing part means if I do that, then I understand that I don't need to block or get out my own way, which keeps coming up even when women speak. And I might speak of it a different way, but to get out of my own way is to not continue self-sabotage. And to stand in worship means to get out in the world, and we'll get into the ones that we're talking about that you listed in our previous episode, and people need to go back and check that out. We begin a certain way, and then we get into the depth of it, because we like to have fun in the process. And why I was laughing is just because laughter came up yesterday too. And so, yeah, you need a little bit of that in the mix of the deepness in these conversations and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have courage versus fear. Well,
okay, I was like, what is she talking about? Okay, I know where you're talking about, the part. Go ahead. Courage
well,
versus
you're talking about the word. God, I forgot how you titled
it's the inner war. So it's the battleground. So you're naming the battlegrounds where the war begins within.
My bad. Thank you for getting that. So y'all still with us, good. So yeah, that's what that's. So yeah, I forgot the word. The battles within. Lord hell, I told people, yes, I said I'm getting better. I said, bear with me. Yeah, it's all about the message anyway, isn't it? No perfection.
Yeah, it's about the messaging. You just want to make sure that people
understand what I'm
can
talking
translate
about.
it.
Oh my God!
In a meaningful way.
Can we start over?
What? What do you mean?
These
no.
About the battles within. So I'm going through 4 battles that she had mentioned.
It's the battleground. The battleground in this, the war begins within like these 4 things. So
that go against each other, like truth versus illusion.
Truth versus illusion, soul versus ego, healing versus self-sabotage, and courage versus fear.
So now I'm at the courage part versus fear. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lose y'all, but I get to going, girl. So, and like I said, I'll get better. I'll get better. I'll get better.
That's why I'm here.
Um, that's why you are here. See, that's still up.
Literally, that's my only purpose here, everybody.
And so we get into this battle about courage versus fear as we're warring up to become the best versions of ourselves, especially in the world that we're living in now. That has been purposely programmed to separate us, to cause separation. And in separation, there's chaos. And in separation, there's confusion. In separation, there's no oneness. In separation, yeah, it's because we're here to support. We all have our different gifts and talents. So courage versus fear. So in this, Maya Angelou said, courage is the thing that carries forth. She mentioned that, and how she said it kind of hit me. And I have to continue to remember, I have to continue that. And some of us, like I say, for me, it looks like I have courage in this, and then the other thing, not so much. Or you have the confidence in this, and then not the confidence in that. And it's like, well, if you're gifted in these, you need to have a little bit of it in all, and not just for me to speak vulnerably here, to not to let me see how I want to articulate this, not to just have it in this area, in this area. So just getting in the car is a courage to get in the drive, but we don't think twice about it. But going 75 and 70 miles an hour, depending on where you live in the states of the world, is definitely courage, and more so a hell of a lot of faith, however you want to look at and honor that term or that word, and a lot of trust in your higher power or your higher self. But that versus fear, as they say, if you had a fear, do it anyway, because you never know what the result might be. And I say, I need to know how much I want to touch, but I know kind of doing publicly, kind of coming from a background, an era or a culture or a generation, that wasn't the case. And was just talking about how no one could share the truth of who they were, or if something happens to you, for instance, when a kid tells you something, believe them until you don't have any way not to believe a child when they tell you something happens, because you don't want to believe it might have happened by so and so and so, or A, B, and C. Don't make it not true. And we fear what other people think, or what the other culture, what the other family. And there's some I know parents who don't give a freak. So yeah, this is not happen. So to stand in that courage versus the fear of what the family or the this person or that, and I'm gonna try to make sure that I don't say this and that a lot, and articulate what I want: family member, mother, uncle, who gives a freak. When we talk about the fear of what somebody else thinks, when especially a child tells you something, and until you don't have a reason not to believe him, why would you not? So I had to get into that, just kind of throw into that. And normally it's fear of what an elder will say, this and that, and that's not possible, or that can't be true about them. How you know it's not true about them? So, and stand encouraged in such a way, even going forth. Like, I know somebody who just changed jobs. They took a matter that wasn't working for them no more. And so sometimes we have to take the leap, and that leap is in faith versus fear, right? So, and when people say the warrior up is more, it's just not something to say or to do, it's just something to be in the moment. And I'd have to say, I know that it wasn't easy to make it. I have made some moves. Thank God I did some other things on the line as far as finances, to make sure, that everything was okay in the months until I found out where I needed to be, because of unfortunate circumstances that had to do with my military career. So, and that was a form of courage. But when I mentioned, why not do we stay in the courage for this thing, it's like, I'm good at this, but I'm also good at that. But I might not think I'm so good at that, so I back off. But like I said, for most people, we seek out. And it's like being or having lived where the Oracle of Omaha was, Mr. Buffett, was that he was smart enough to seek out and still is, and most of us will do that for the reason why you said what you said. For that is that we have the gifts and talents to reach out in faith for somebody who knows this better. It's not that we should not know of it, and especially like watching your money, I prefer that most people would manage their own, but to trust out and to be able to seek out someone who is very versed in their skill set so it can free you up to do the other things. So courage versus fear is to take that chance of not being in control of everything, um, which is where fear comes in. Um, so you can chime on that, and then we can get into the deeper into the five types as we look at the inner battle, because that is important in the depths of how we walk in the world within our own selves, our own beingness.
Yeah. I want to remind people to that, because like, what is the war, right? Like, what's the war? And like, as she was talking about, like, naming the battleground. And what I feel the war is, like, what the war is about is really about, like, what are we fighting for? And it's alignment. And I think it's alignment with yourself and with spirit and like the divine order of things on these specific battlefields. And so when I was kind of looking back at the war between these two things, it's like, it's not really about verses, it's about alignment. So it's like, when we stand in truth, how can we be with the illusion? So it's like, I take truth, I stand in truth, and I look through, what's going on, and like seeing through the illusion, burning through the illusion of that. It's like finding the alignment of truth over illusion. I think that's the battleground. That's the war. You're seeking that sense of alignment when it comes to like, what is the truth versus that illusionary, the illusion of whatever it may be or how it may show up. So it's like, how can you be with the truth? How can you be with the illusion, and being kind of like the anchor point of the scales that you think of a scale, like you're the anchor point. So then it like goes into like the soul versus the ego. How can you be with your soul and how can you be with your ego equally the same? Like bringing balance between those two things, because they both exist. And I think that's the thing is like, I feel like sometimes people are trying to fight things like, oh, the illusion needs to go away, or like the ego needs to go away. It's like, it's honoring what exists, what the experience may be, and finding balance within that, finding the alignment within that, finding the path to purpose and empowerment around whatever may show up, whether it's like, I see the truth within the illusion of what's being told to me. I see the power and the purpose of my ego, and I'm empowered in being connected on a soul level, and I have the compassion to be with my ego and how it may show up in my life. And like healing versus self-sabotage, it's like, how can you be with that? How can you bring the alignment of the self-sabotage that is keeping you from your potential or your capacity to be in that state of allowing for healing to happen? Because the thing that I've shifted my whole mindset on healing is, there's nothing that's required of us to do in terms of healing except get out of our own way. Because, you think of like back in the day when you talk to like doctors back in like the not even 1800s, like 1700s and later, they gave remedies that would help people to deal with the symptoms while they were healing. It was never targeted or marketed as like, take this and it will heal you. It's like, take these to help support your body to for you to stay with your body, like going through the healing process, the cycle of that. So healing versus self-sabotage. How can you bring the alignment between the battleground when it comes to that? And then courage versus fear. It's like, how can you be with the fear courageously? How can you courageously be with fear? We do it all the time. I think in many ways we do it all the time, and we're not aware that we have the capacity, that we have the ability to bring alignment in these battlegrounds. But I think sometimes we kind of cherry pick, or we give more value to the smaller things. Oh, that's easy to do. It's like, I don't know that that's necessarily the case. I think it's more of a perspective, a judgment, but it's also the more that we bring, or we seek that balance, is it brings us back to center. Because when you're with your beingness, it's like it brings you back to center of being that anchor between the two scales where you're seeking the balance within your life. So when it comes to like the war that's inside, you the thing about it is you can't win the war within if every battle will overwhelm you, like every outer battle overwhelms you. And I think we spend so much time, like even now, there's all these wars going on. It's like, and people are so focused on that. It's like, okay, those are going on, right? Look at the other side of the scale. How does that, how are you at war with your own self in your own life? How is war showing up in your life? How are you contributing to that war that may be actually playing out externally expressed? Yeah. So it's really about finding alignment, finding a way to be with the ways of the world and not be consumed by those ways. To remember that the ways of the world may be expressed this way, but we also get to choose a new way forward. And a new way forward is needed in order to change things. We can't expect things to change and we're still doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. That's literally insanity. So we're all insane. We've all lost our mind. They want us to be insane. So we lose our mind. So we lose our sense of power, and then thus of purpose. So that's the inner war from my take. It's really about finding that alignment of being the anchor, remembering you're the anchor that brings the balance between truth versus illusion, soul versus ego, healing versus self-sabotage, courage versus fear, and realizing that it's not really a fight. It's about seeking the balance within that, being with it.
Yeah, most definitely. It's like it's always, you hear me say, we have the choice to choose. And then I think we get comfortable about not honoring our ability to choose and to choose to change, because change was something that I'll just say, me as a Taurian, the Taurian that I am, wasn't much for change. That's the truth. I mean, comfortability, stability. I don't like it. Stability, I've come to grow and to learn through experiential training and learning that growth, because stagnation is not good. So growth, learning, getting to know yourself better, because as we grow and as we age, we do change. Things change about how we move and how we see it. Now people can choose to stay in that, but how does that serve you? And we talk about like, how does your current situation continue to serve you and not serve you? Because it's not serving you, that's where you make the change. If it's not honoring you, or you seem to be in worry, chaos, and stress, and normally you can see it on your face. And now I've become aware to feel it on my face when something goes, like driving or something, and then sometimes I just get a look, and I'm like, you ain't in the right way. Literally, I had to deal with that yesterday. I mean, just,
I think it's just so sad sometimes when you take a step back and and just observe and watch how people are just so comfortable going at war against other people. Just like
yeah.
just through driving, it's like what are we doing? Why are you driving aggressively? Why are you cutting me off? Like why are you so impatient that
That part.
I like it's just and I think there's there's a lack of alignment. That's why it's showing up. That's why I say, how are you at war in your own life? How are you warring people when you're driving, when you're in the grocery store? Do you get annoyed by someone moving slow? Because, you know, I think about the fact that I was in the grocery store with my mom and, you know, my mom is like 75 and she doesn't move fast. But my mom has never been one to like move fast either.
That's true. Yeah, yeah.
And the number of times people that come up and like just like brush past her really quickly. And I'm just like, what is the rush? Like, I think that's just so rude. So it's like, I see it on that level. Like, people lack the capacity to see how they're at war with just someone that walks slow in the grocery store. And it's like, if it's on that level, that very simple level, like it's just no wonder things are exploding around the world in the way that they are because we're out of alignment. We're out of order.
I'd have to say so.
I think the fact that, especially culturally speaking here in the United States, how we don't even respect our elders. I was listening to someone like a Gen Zer, I'm calling this Gen Zer out, and was talking about, oh, how like millennials and Gen Xers, they need to just go the hell away. Like your time is up. And then she was like, and don't get me started on the boomers. And I'm just like, oh, the level of audacity that you are like, are you serious right now?
Girl, you wouldn't be experiencing nothing you experienced if it wasn't for the people and generations before you.
There's just a lack of respect. And I think it's not even respect, it's like grace. There's a lack of grace. There's a lack of seeking to understand what it was like for them, the challenges that they went through. Because, you know, I hear another conversation is like, oh, boomers gave us this really crappy world. They're the reason the world is the way that it is. And I'm just like, okay, first of all, if you sit down and have a conversation with a baby boomer, there was like, they lived through war after war after war after war. Like their parents or like they lost so many men in their lives to these wars.
Yeah.
There was like food shortages, and then don't get into like the race, like separating it out from the racial experiences, right?
Girl, yes.
So I think there's the fact that we can't get along or we can't find the capacity to respect someone wherever they are. It's like, we're so out of order here. And it's just, I don't know. Like, there's like, I heard this guy, and this is me being kind of, I'm just going to say it. There's this guy, he was like, maybe the world does need to be blown up. Maybe a meteor does need to do a hard reset on the earth because we have so many humans who don't give a damn about other humans.
Yeah.
And that's not going to work anymore. It's like you can't sit in judgment of what other people didn't do right, because then you become part of the problem. Do something different. We don't need you to point out what was like, oh, well, they messed up by not doing this. Okay, are you able to provide solutions? I think we do need to be honest about things, but it goes back to that truth versus illusion, right? Like, how are you bringing balance in how you're looking at like a whole generation of people and blaming them for the state of the world?
Yeah.
Because the truth here is that they're not the ones responsible for the way of the world. And do you really think that they would want the state of the world to be what it is now? I don't think so. They wanted it to be different then. And in many ways, it is a little bit better, but also a little bit still like not quite in that state of balance. So we have to really, I don't know, I get really frustrated seeing a lot of the younger generations like attacking the other generations. They tend to leave Gen X alone because they got on some F around find out energy, like don't come from us because we will come from you, because we're really like the
rebels.
Oh, we are more than the rebels. Like we are built for this. Okay, we can live off grid. We can survive. We're good. We survive because this survival of the fittest here. So we made it through.
So talking about worrying in that respect, well, I said something, and I've had this conversation before in retrospect to that, is that if the computers go out, like, okay, the electricity went out. Electricity went out. It was out for a good 24 hours at least. And coming home, couldn't get garage. Thank God you need to have some access through the front door. They would get in the front door, have some candles, have some other light. My mother was good for having deep batteries and these other things that I have incorporated in my little area, and can read and have lights that I can turn on that aren't by the switch. And so there's creative things you can do, from coloring to artistic to freaking reading. And I have a light that's deep battery operated that you can see and do things where people would freak out. So you can't talk about generations who can't survive. The baby boomers, if there's any little bit of silent generation left, which was the mamas and the parents of the baby boomers and maybe some other Gen X. Is it Gen X? Gen X?
Yeah, some Gen X
generation. The lost, they call them the lost generation. I don't know. That's really interesting. So,
what, the Gen Xers or the lost generation?
Yeah, it's the ones before the millennials.
They call us the forgotten generation. I've heard us referred to as forgotten because we don't want you to remember us because we trying to live off the grid. We don't. We're used. See, here's the thing, right? We're used to not having the recognition. Like, we're the generation, like, go figure it out. Or like, I love the scene where they were talking about what it was like for like a Gen X, like their parent. They'd be like, well, did you die? And it's like, well, I got shot today. And it's from what's that movie? Oh God, I can't think of the movie. The one with Bradley Cooper and like the monkey and Ken. But he's like, I got shot today, and he's like, but did you die? Like, that's literally how we live.
That movie, okay, yeah. But I mean, the silent generation even bore some of the Gen X's.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So, I mean, because the baby boomers didn't really, depending on how early they chose to have a child, depending on when you were born in that set, didn't have their children to probably late 80s, maybe some 90s, 90s or late mid 90s, things of that generation, or even beyond that for that matter, depending if they chose career, which I believe you need to get yourself set up and in such a way that having the children don't cause you stress, which mostly is by finances. Just keeping it real.
Probably, but see, that generation, it's the generation before the boomers that I'm talking about. Like, I remember having conversations with my great aunt, who's part of that generation before she passed a few years back. And she was saying that, like, she had to get married in order to like live and to survive in our society. Like, you couldn't open a bank account without a husband. There were some jobs that you couldn't apply for unless you had a husband.
That's true.
like you couldn't live in certain places without a husband.
That's a fact back then, yes.
So back then, a lot of women were married because they felt like they had no choice in order to live just reasonably so. So you had a lot of people who were married to people they didn't want to be married to.
Yeah, yes, darling, yes.
So they're silent because they didn't have, they were trying to make the best with the way the world was.
That's right. Yes.
And I think we have to kind of remember that too, you know, and we'll go through like the levels of warriors that I feel. I'll let you go through them. Unless you want me to. I feel like really lean into like, where do you feel like your position right now is calling you to bring alignment into your life? And it has to make sense, right? And pick one, okay? Don't be one of those people who's like, oh, I'm going to be all 5 of them, right? Pick one, do one. And then maybe you do that one and you realize, okay, I'm actually maybe this one. Explore what they mean, explore how they land, and really bring alignment into your life as well. And it may be all 5 bringing alignment to your life, but start with one, okay? And that's for those overachievers and things like that. Like let's start mastering some things here, okay? All right. Warriors Ardeshir are in.
For real.
I'll let you take it away.
I get that. Well, my aura is definitely that person. And I looked at...
What person? Oh, trying to be all 5? Is that what you're saying? I think you might see the value in all 5, but I think realistically, you're like, yeah, I can't be all 5. For some reason, I can't hear you.
Oh, wow. I don't think nobody's heard me for a minute then. Not even the responses to you. Oh, goodness.
We heard you say, yeah, all 5. You like, yeah.
Well, it turned itself off, that doggone mic. All right. That was some energy, something right there, y'all. But yeah, I was just like, you know, but like you said, there's some things as I look at that brain, but I know the 2 for me will begin with they're going death, but you definitely have to visit the former recording on these here 5 inner warrior types, and the death right now is the inner warrior, which is number 1 and how it was listed through you. And this whole thing about getting clarity, getting understanding, going to depth within, because and we've also done something talking about the shadows for which I think most or myself don't want to sit down with it because of the perfectionism ratio. But the inner warrior is the one that fights for self-love, self-awareness, and healing. And when I look at the inner warrior, which is probably where I'm at, and when I get down to the other one, I think I will always be in that particular energy as I continue to remove the layers of the decades till they won't be there anymore. Matter of fact, they need to be gone like now. They need to just be dissolved. But you have to do the work to honor it in order to go through to help y'all understand this here thing about self-love. And I think when we don't have is when we're searching or seeking it from someone else. And no one can actually love you better than you loving yourself once you get to know the love that you are. And that's what you have to sit down with is in the world that it continue can't say to tell you how you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to walk, even how you're supposed to talk. Now, I was watching, somewhere if you're like Jersey or a few other people have this, and even some Southern have this deep accent, right? You know where they from just by where they talk, right? So, and it's like people will even judge you by your accent. Know who you are. Your voice is your voice, right? And then to be self-aware of you and who you are. And I talk about awareness even around, but being aware of your gifts, your talents, your this, and to do the healing that from the world that has been compacted on you, braced upon that. Some of it has been passed on from generations because, like you said, our generations. Yes, I'd have to say, going back and what's coming to me now, even my own ancestors, especially the women, of doing that because jobs weren't even really there except for certain type of jobs for women to do. Understand, do your healing away from that because, as I was saying yesterday, and understood now more and more what it means to reparent yourself. Your parents do the best what they go with what they know. Some of them went through, some of them went through addiction, some of them didn't know. And you'll hear some stories about other. But if you're still in this world, if you still have a roof, if you still, and even if you don't, if you still breathing, because there's some people, like I said, homeless, not everybody homeless was always homeless. They know some stuff, you know. You never know where your higher power, God, source, creator is in everyone that you meet. You learn something. I just found out, where was I at and who was I talking to? Oh, I was out Saturday by chance and found out some things from someone because I went to pick up some brims from my guy, one of them, and and we were talking about ironing, and the guy's jeans was cut. This is I'm gonna call it. It is old school. It is what it is. He had the creases. I said, don't nobody know nothing about that, do they? His
Oh, yeah,
jeans.
the Chris line, that very.
Oh yeah, girl. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I ironed my uniform. I was ironing before I went in the military. All they did is enhance it. And my mother, I took my stuff from my mother, started washing, started doing my own clothes so she could handle my father and my brother. I just like, I'm just gonna handle this. I was just that child. And crease my stuff. I used to wash my clothes, crease them all, hang them up, throw them up. I went through 3 clothes 3 times a day sometime because of my activities. And then I found out I can't find, because I don't like aerosol spray, so I have not been spraying anything to iron any of my stuff. And I ran out of solution because they don't make it anymore from where I was getting it before, for example. And to make a long story short, the woman said, I said, well, how are you getting the crease aerosol? And so the woman that was with him said, she told me about alcohol and water.
Yeah.
I said, huh? But I add some, I'm using not regular water, I'm using distilled. And then I put some essential oils in mine. And then I just added the alcohol. But I used to have my crease. I mean, my shoulders, the dashikis are different. To have them where there's just the crease is just standing out on its own. So it'd be like this for my shoulder. And that's how my uniforms used to be. You wash them, they still stand out. That's the kind of precision in the cut you want in your clothing.
Yeah, that
So
was a
just learning
requirement.
from different people.
Yeah.
So you learn yourself and you find out these things. And I'm like, oh, cool, alcohol. I have plenty of that. I keep it along with hydrogen peroxide. So that inner healing, that fight to go within and to understand and to get to know exactly who you are in the world that says you need to be going all the time, all the time, all the time. No, back up. If you want to be outside, go to the lake, go to a man-made lake, go to an ocean, whatever suits your soul. Walk the forest, don't care. And then somebody else mentioned something else, and I'll move on about. It took me a while to put headsets on my phone, but there's time where I took this other walk and I didn't have the music on, so I could embrace the nature, so I could hear the birds, the chirping, and the other animals in this particular area. And you can do your healing out there. So the next one is the relational warrior.
Wait. I have a question for you. I was kind of thinking about the inner warrior. I feel like the inner warrior is the initiation for everybody. I feel like this is the stage, the entry point that everyone at a foundational level must start. What do you think about that?
Well, with you saying that, yes, but then that has me move the spiritual warrior to number 2.
I don't think there's an order. I think the inner warrior is the initiator, right? Because
yeah.
I think based on your healing and you getting to a level of truth and self-mastery, I think that self-mastery piece will then determine which you go to next. But I think at a very foundational level, the inner warrior
agree.
Is like that initiatory, like you have to.
Well, that's doing the work. That's doing the serious work.
You have to start there, because if you don't start at that level, then you're not going to have the capacity to be like the other 4.
Yeah.
So you're saying based on that, you would then go to the spiritual warrior.
Yes.
So you're saying there's kind of like a sequential order to go through?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
It just came to me that I'm like, yeah. Because looking at the spiritual warrior that battles fear, illusion, and the separation at the soul level, bam. And then we'll get into the other one of how, like, now I could stand, because there's some people who are just not bad rebels, but the ones that would get to the one that you had listed before, which is the global warrior. Won't go there yet. And I'm like, yeah, you have to get to that point of not giving a F to go there to stand for right. Not everybody, just depends. Now it depends on the nature.
I feel like for you, your path. So you're saying your path was inner warrior, then spiritual warrior is like your battlefield has been your journey. Because I think like the warrior journey is very unique to the hero's journey, right? Think of the hero's journey. Everyone's journey is different, but I think the starting point is definitely that inner warrior, where there's a wounding that happens, something happens that requires you to look at yourself. So it's about like shadow work, looking at the patterns and things of that nature on that level. And then you said like the spiritual warrior is like that bridge between the human and the divine.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Confronting and battling the false evidence appearing real. Because it's not that some things appear. Okay, girl, I ain't going to my basement for, I don't know.
Well, I'm kind of looking. Now you got me rethinking. Like, what was my hero's journey? Mine wasn't the spiritual warrior. I didn't go to the spiritual warrior next after the inner warrior. Mine was the relational warrior.
Okay, that's the next. Okay.
So for me, I started the inner warrior, then I went to the relational warrior, where that focuses on boundaries and truth and relationships. So that's like the work for that one is like refusing to play roles to diminish your authenticity, like confronting dishonesty and cultivating radical love. So that's where I went in my journey. And then from there, I moved to the spiritual warrior.
Okay.
Because what came up for me at the inner warrior level is the love that I had for myself. I realized like the self-love was a deep wounding for me. So that was the battlefield that I went to next, was I really sitting with like forgiveness and like, what do I have shame around, and like really looking at like, how am I putting myself into boxes based on like society saying you do these things and you will be deemed a worthy and a successful contributing member to society. Right. And what I realized is that those things were making me sick.
Yes.
So I still had some healing to do within that at that relational warrior. So for me, my hero's journey was the relational warrior. And then I moved to the spiritual warrior because then I had the capacity to start to really face those fears and the darkness because I saw the value in the need to do that. I had the capacity to be with my humanness because I saw that my humanness has value. I love myself. The experiences that I have do not define who I am or define like my innate value. But for me, the being on the relational warrior battlefield, it allowed me to have a certain level of skills to start the training at the spiritual warrior level.
That's interesting. I mean, I must have been there, like I said, that was seeking that, especially right before 2020 with, the dire loss. And I think that my life, I have always kind of been level-headed. I still, like to have my fun through all of the unfortunate circumstances that not most people know. And I know that story will be told at a death. And you've asked how I would articulate how I will use the warrior. I will use the word warrior in this one for me, warrior through those circumstances or those occurrences, ill-willed circumstances, that were literally and figuratively put upon me and my body, much less the rest of me, and try to break. Mine was more, my mother's crossing was a huge, huge shift in my life. And a whole new life began in awareness and things of that nature, and what pissed me off and things of that nature, and to overcome it. And you were talking about the store, for example. There was somebody I was waiting in the line, and a particular generation whooped right on up into the line and went to the cashier. Well, I was being patient. If I hadn't been the person that I am, it could have went differently. But I'm like, I'm not in a hurry.
I know, right?
Yeah. So I'm it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So the inner
Did you
warrior,
say anything at all?
huh?
Did you say anything at all?
No, because they end up saying something that was really interesting. So I was just like, screw it. So so they jumped up there and they was like, oh, what's that smell? What you wearing? And and then they was like, what you wearing? You want to tell? Oh, you don't have to tell me. And I'm like, well, it was a gift. And I just left it alone.
So you just decided, I don't know, I pick and choose moments where I say stuff where I'm like, I have learned that.
You do realize that you cut in front of me?
Yes.
But there's times, and it just
sometimes I just don't have the energy. I'm just like,
it just wasn't
just
even.
Go and get out of my energy.
Yeah, it was. I was just, I was.
You extended grace.
Yeah, I did.
My brother always says that people are constantly living off of the grace of others.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like I am right now on my face, and I was just like, and yeah, whatever, man. I mean, and so I go back and I look back at these 9 years, and in a warrior, that then the spiritual, then the cultural came. Boundaries was
a cultural warrior. So the cultural warrior is about challenging illusions in society, community, and spiritual spaces. That's the focus of the cultural warrior.
That's right. But all this still had to do with within, because toxic positivity, well, spiritual performance, fighting delusion within the collective, and performing, and people like the fake it till the make it thingy. I just that just don't work for me. It don't work for me. I ain't perform that well. I'm not. I can't do that well. I can't do that well at
I
all.
feel like it's not, it's like, just be honest while you are in process.
Yeah,
People just want honesty,
that's
transparency.
what they said. That's what someone said yesterday. Yep, yep,
There's
yep.
nothing to fake. Just be you. Just be you and be honest about it. Okay.
But people have to have been or pretended to be anything other than their natural selves, and that is the type. That's when the body actually, you can really get sick from being anything other than the body starts acting funny too at the
Yeah.
cellular level.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah. It does.
um And so you look at the conflicts, the things that we have within, because it's just like the one guy here, I haven't seen him in a while. That comes to conversations, been within. But what I want him to understand, not everybody can know that, for the reason why we are talking here, to understand what that means. Because not a lot of people get, well, everything begins within the mind. You have to become and understand how that is, and the awareness of it, to be aware of what's going on within your mind and your brain, and how you live in your life, and how you move, and how you're driving like a bat out of hell. I just say it, whether there's a hell, I don't know, but that we all know that expression, at least most of us do anyway. Because if you get burnt, if you sit on a roast fire, we hope you would jump and somebody torched you behind. I don't know, but I'm just saying. So you know, it's just, it's like, where are you going? So, and then there's the boundaries. That was hard because Major Young Love and Zant, yeah, Young Love, did a series on boundaries. They wanted to. It wasn't like the resistance. It's like,
Oh,
you
to
know,
setting boundaries.
yeah,
Yeah.
girl. I mean,
Why do you think you had resistance to that?
I didn't
What
know
was the
that it was
battlefield?
purposeful.
Huh?
It, I don't know that it was purposeful. It had a lot to do with people pleasing.
Well, I think that, but the thing about people pleasing that I kind of like, not light bulb, but kind of like, yeah, is it's like, it helps it's never about you. It's like
Mm-hmm.
maintaining comfort for other people
Mm-hmm. That,
at
that,
the
that
sacrifice of,
of yourself. Oh, girl,
yeah.
please.
It's like, my purpose in life is not to be palatable for you, okay?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
guess what? I'm not here for your consumption. Go find somebody else who is willing to allow you to consume them. I think we spend
yes.
so much time thinking that we have every right to consume other people, and it's like, no, you have to give permission. You get permission from people to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and really go consume yourself. Go be the inner warrior, okay? Go do your work. Do your inner work here.
Yeah, the boundaries are
That
the
triggered something in
community.
me.
Yeah, the community and the love. I don't give a, you know what, right now, and I have to be
Mm.
okay with that, because when I look at what I have warriored through, maybe I need another word that really, really, really honors what the freak I've endured, and what I have danced through, laughed through.
I don't think
Um,
words can describe. I don't think there's a word that can contain that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You've
yeah.
lived. There you go.
I am
You've
a
lived.
effing beast in a good way. I'm a beast. Um, and still have a whole lot of love. So there was something that came up that would talk about this at I still call my mama's church, just like everybody still call the house mamas. It'll always be mamas, right? And so, where he was talking about the things that will happen in life and how people get bitter. I ain't get bitter. And I don't, and I could have been the epitome of bitterness. It just wasn't in me. And so I look at how and what I said to Source, Father, Creator, God, at the time of certain and many others. And then some of them, I just continued to serve people in such a way that I didn't. It affected my being, but I chose life. And I've had one of my other ones say, your soul chose to live with all and endure it. And I am so healed to just even say it in such a vibrant way, and what has happened from from following Eve, from the training, from just enhancing who I already was and am. And still have a love and understand for community, and to be able to speak. There's some people I don't like to approach me, but I still have love. It's like, okay, no, I don't want to buy, being approached on the streets to buy something. But it is still a love, and as you put in here, refusing to play roles, and some of us have had to put those armor or shields or masks, as they call them, on. So yeah, boundaries, love, community is setting, and so you don't want to show someone how to treat you, and to understand that. And so yes, mine was inner, spiritual, cultural, relational, and then I have played a little part in the global warriorness. Since you kind of spoke about the cultural, was that confronts oppression systems, and I have this thing that's called Survivor Speak, and there's some other ones of people who have been through crimes of violence,
focus.
or their families have been through.
Well, the work. That's the work. Yeah. That's the
Yeah.
work that they do. The focus for the global warrior is collective liberation and systemic transformation.
Yeah. Liberation here stands for justice.
Yeah. I really do suggest for those listening to go back, because we actually talk about the focus, we talk about the work, we talk about the practices that can help support you if you're at that level. And then I believe there was a statement of like an affirmation, or like a statement that's tied to that energy, that attunement. Yes. So go watch that video to go deeper. So that's interesting. So you're saying, so your journey has been the inner warrior, the spiritual warrior, and now where are you? What battlefield are you on? Because you can't be on like more than one battlefield at a time.
I'm still working on my voice.
What is that? It's the spiritual.
Inner boundaries. I'm at the relational warrior.
Oh, the relational. Okay. Oh yeah, relational warrior is boundaries and truth and relationship is the focus. Mm-hmm. Okay. I think for me right now, I'm on the cultural warrior battlefield, because I'm really challenging the illusions in society and community and like the spiritual spaces, because I'm always like burning through the illusion. I'm calling out like the BS that exists within the spiritual communities, because it has become toxic.
Yeah, I agree.
It's become toxic. It's not really about helping people to. It encourages people to seek things outside of themselves, and I'm like, that's not spirituality. So therefore, that's not what you say this is not it. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
caught like I'm very much in that cultural warrior. And I do feel that that will actually pivot me to the global warrior that I've kind of been fighting, which is like
Definitely.
collective liberation and systemic transformation. But I'm recognizing the need to first talk about what is going on, because there's a lot of people that are confused or are like, what? Like, I don't like, I sense something is off. So it's like having those conversations to start to understand what those systems, how those systems at that global level are impacting us culturally speaking. But in order to understand the systems, I think it helps to understand like the impact culturally.
I'll say that sometimes when I'm out and about, I think I go between several one depending on where my spirit is, or depending on the person or
Mm-hmm.
what is being spoken about.
Oh, their
Uh,
battlefield. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
That's a good
and
point. Yeah.
yeah, and
I
come
like that. I like
come
that
from
distinction that the battlefield for you, for your life, may be this journey. And it, when you're around other people, you, because it's like you meet people where they are. So some people may be at that inner warrior level, that battlefield rather, and so because you are like the spiritual warrior, even if you are the inner warrior, because I feel everyone starts there, you're able
Mhm.
to relate because you've been on that battlefield. And even if you haven't been on any of the others, you still see the value and the importance of the other warrior types
Well, I've
because they're
been on the
needed.
global one with one of the women's when we were talking and dealing with human trafficking, and I was part of a 4-part panel. And she asked me to be that because she knew a little bit after sharing my stories, and some of them you are now somewhat familiar with on the global level for just and unjust incarceration. There's a whole bunch to it, and then there's murder. I still have an unsolved case here with a younger cousin of mine that happened back in '85. What happened is still a cold case, unfortunately. Um, and then the person with whom I know whose son was murdered in Cincinnati, and a teen had been coaxed by that. That was all over. I wasn't living here at the time, and the mission that drove her for of doing the work to help us, in the mind, kind of, shit that what makes or what gets somebody to think, in that in taking another life, the systemic um, um, behaviors. I'm going blank on it, but to overcome, this here, um, of this here toxic way that we see each other, and that is okay to arbitrarily take a life because someone doesn't look like you, doesn't think like you, uh, and doesn't see your point of view. It's just like the conversation we have on Mondays. It's like to honor someone, to listen, to understand, to respect, you know, kind of the virtues that we talk about. That we talk about different
What
topics.
what conversations on
It's
Monday?
called Meaningful Conversations. And we have different topics. It's mostly based off of the Baha'i writings. I think I've shared some of that with you. But most of these writings and this are really in tune and in line with coming together and looking at different things. This other one was about friendship yesterday, and what that means to you. I know honesty, integrity, trust, and they only wanted me to lift one, but I always break the rules because they all on the same one line for me. It's honesty, integrity, trust, um, um, kind of being dependable, and I forgot the other one. There was five. um, yeah. So, but I'll end with that. I just say, get to know who you are, get to love who you are, get to where you are, live your best life and set that. There's just so many things going on, but like we have to clear the layers that we have to identify those layers, and there's a healing process for every layer. And it's okay. As I say, do the work because you're worth it.
Yes, ma'am. So if you are interested in learning how to activate the warrior within, we went through that in the other episode. So those are the levels of warriors: the inner warrior, the relational warrior, the cultural warrior, the spiritual warrior, and the global warrior, and in no particular order. So you decide where you are, do as you wish with the information that was expressed here. Let us know how you felt about it. And we're going to end this episode. So thanks for those who have made it this far. Thank you for being in conversation with me, Warrioress Ardeshir RN.
Well,
I appreciate you. And we hope to see those of you who are watching or listening in the next episode. So until then, bye.
Take care, everyone. Peace.